Hi, it's Sari here from Parent Plus. Hello, I have free hands this time. Got myself a little tripod. Treated myself to a little tripod. I'm just going to move that slightly there, so let's get a little bit of logo in there, a little bit of branding, you know. Okay, so this is part two of looking at emotional eating. And I can't think now what I've just put as the title, but something along the line like no wonder you're comfort eating. And part of the reason why I've called it that is because last time I looked at how we eat and talked a bit about eating mindfully. If anybody does come on, I can see there's somebody on. Jackie, hi Jackie. Hang on a sec. Yeah, I'll just move. I keep doing this every time, saying I will take off my notifications, and I keep forgetting, so sorry. Yeah, so talked about eating mindfully, how we eat. So again, about slowing that down, about focusing on what we're actually doing rather than just eating without even realising what we're eating, and also to the point where sometimes we can literally be eating that quickly that we don't know whether we're full or not, because we're not giving the food enough time to get into our stomachs. We're not kind of even acknowledging how we feel. So this time, so just asked in the last video just to have a think about how it is that you eat, where do you eat, all that kind of thing. If you're on here, do say hi so I can see who it is. And if you've got any questions, please feel free to ask. So last time we looked at how you eat. And what I want to look at tonight is start to look at how are you talking to yourself about food. And again, this is about the adults, but it still is important for children, because often the way that we will think about and talk to ourselves about food, or actually not just about food, about anything, how you talk to yourself internally, is something that we are modelling to our children, something that they will pick up or get a sense of. So if you think about food and, if you're somebody who wants to eat less, or you might be somebody actually that feels like they need to eat more, but what is your dialogue internally that you're saying to yourself when it comes to food? What's that? There's a saying, isn't there, about first sign of madness, talking to yourself. If that's the case, then I am definitely mad. And I would say that most of the population then are therefore mad, because I don't know how much you're aware of this. However, we literally talk to ourselves all day long. We have internal battles with ourselves. There's not just one voice in our head. There's loads. There's loads of different ones. There's ones that will maybe be quite positive. There's ones that are really there ready to get rid of that positive and to try and combat it with negative. It's constant. So even say in a therapy room, for example, I'm sat there, the client is sat there, we're having a dialogue between us and we're communicating. But in my head, there's a constant dialogue of probably more than one voice. In their head, there is. So even in one conversation, we've got a whole host of different people in a way that are in on that conversation. So it's not because we're mad, it's because that's what we do. We have this internal dialogue. And I'm not going to go into the theory, because there's a lot of theory around this, particularly some great theory in TA, transactional analysis psychotherapy, which is the type of psychotherapy myself and Jackie did the 4-year diploma in. However, if anybody is interested in more specific detail, there's loads of stuff that we can share with you and send you in the right direction. But basically, in a nutshell, what we work on with TA psychotherapy is that we have a number of ego states. And so I'm just kind of simplifying it and almost saying like these are, at play all day long, and we're shifting from one to the next. And the basics of it is that we've got a parent ego state, adult ego state and child ego state. Now, we all have these and we all move throughout these, throughout the day, throughout the hour, even throughout the minute. And why are they important, and why, for example, would they relate to food and eating? Well, we might talk to ourselves throughout the day in quite a parental way. So That could be positive, that could be negative. We could be quite nurturing with ourselves and tell ourselves that we're okay and that we're doing really well, and almost like what you would hear from somebody parenting their child in a really positive, nurturing way. Then on the other hand, you may then find you have a voice in your head that's extremely critical and controlling. That, okay, some element of control structure-wise could be quite good and can be quite positive. You know, for example, growing up as children, we need structure and we need people to say to us, okay, maybe this isn't the right way to do it, or maybe I could help you with this. However, what can also happen is we can take that a step further and talk to ourselves quite critically and controlling throughout the day a lot. And I think there's a lot of people, or I certainly come across a lot of people, that don't realise actually what that internal dialogue is, because it's almost like we get so used to hearing it that we stop realising even that it's there, unless we stop and think about it and actually think, actually, what is it that I'm saying to myself? So if we're talking about food then, for example, you know, if you're saying to yourself, right, I'm not going to eat rubbish today, I need to cut down on the sugar that I'm eating. So then you wake up one day, the next day, and you're feeling a bit fed up, or you're feeling like you want to have a treat, but actually then this is when maybe the dialogue starts. Oh, well, I did say I was going to not have chocolate today, so actually maybe I shouldn't. Okay, so you can kind of question yourself, but in quite a mild, you know, relatively nurturing way. Do I really want to have that? Do I really need to have that? I did promise myself, you know. But there's also other ways you can talk to yourself, like, right, well, I just can't eat that because I'm sick of being the way that I am, and I've got to do something about it, and I keep messing up, and I just need to do it. You know, I'm pathetic. You know, why can't I just do it? Everybody else can. I'm just not good enough. So you could then have a much more critical dialogue in a way that you speak to yourself, you know, and then there then may be a part of you that then in response to that internal message in your head is saying, oh, well, that's not fair, and, you know, why can't I, and, you know, I should be able to really, and but so from more of a childish response where you almost feel like a child, even as an adult, you feel like, you know, the stroppy, it's not fair, and I want that, and it's not fair, and why should I have to diet, and, you know, so you've got this constant internal dialogue with most things in life, but again, particularly around food, where, you know, it's like you're battling against yourself. No one's forcing you to comfort eat. No one's forcing you to not eat. You know, this is us taking control in our own minds and in our own heads. So, you know, I would invite you to think about, how do you talk to yourself around food? What kind of things are you saying to yourself? What are those messages that you're giving yourself? Are they critical? Are they very controlling? So is it kind of all or nothing? Well, I can't have any sugar. You know, I hear it so often. You know, detox, I'm going on a detox. Liquid only. Like, how controlling is that in terms of you controlling your body to the point where you're saying, I am only putting liquid in my body? Well, okay, think about what happens as a parent when sometimes we maybe try and over-control our child, which I'm certainly guilty of. You know, we'll try and over-control. They might adapt, they may well adapt, but they may well rebel against that as well, or want to rebel against it. And it might even take a bit of time for the rebellion to happen, but it probably will happen at some point. So think about that in terms of yourself. Okay, so I'm not going to have any sugar, I'm not going to have any chocolate. So you've gone from somebody that might eat chocolate every day, sorry, there's a little fly. You've gone from being somebody that might have chocolate every day to saying, as of tomorrow, no chocolate. Okay, so the little adaptive part of you might go, yeah, okay, that's what I'm going to do because I need to do it, and I've been meaning to do it for ages, and I want to lose weight before I go on holiday, and yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to adapt to this voice in my head that's telling me I have to cut everything. Okay, might be fine for day one. Sorry, I got another notification. Might be fine for day 2, day 3, might even be fine for a week. That's where it ends for me. Might be fine for 2 weeks. Might even be fine for a month, but I would probably guess that at some stage you're going to think, sod this, I've had enough. I want to rebel. I've had enough of adapting, and do you know what? I'm going to go to the shop. I'm not going to have 1 bar of chocolate. I'm not going to have 2 bars. I'm going to buy a whole bag full of chocolate. And I'm going to eat as much as I want because I'm rebelling right now, and I may as well just go for it. Because come tomorrow, I might start trying to over control myself again, and then I can't eat anything. So, you know, this is kind of, I'm using the example a little bit of my own dialogue that I can go through at times. Yours might be slightly, slightly different, very different. There might be some elements of that. But just think about how you talk to yourself, how you battle against yourself. Are you over controlling yourself too much to try and get results to the point where then that's not sustainable, and then you want to completely and utterly rebel against it? And after rebelling against it, after I've eaten those 4 bars of chocolate, and that might sound a lot, but I could at times easily eat well more than 4 bars of chocolate in one sitting. I could. Then the guilt kicks in. Oh, why did I do that? I feel awful. And the thing about food is as well, as I said in the last video, I'm not a nutritionist. I don't know anything about that. But what I do know from being a human being is when you put crap in your body, you feel crap. Okay, so if I want to eat a Chinese, for example, I don't feel that great after it. But sometimes it's worth it for me because I really fancy it and I want it. But I kind of know that I might feel a bit lethargic after it, and then I weigh up whether I want it or not. So, when we've eaten certain things, or when we've had things, maybe we've come to a point where we're rebelling against these internal messages where we're telling ourselves you should not eat any more chocolate, and you should do this, and you should do that, and you must do that, and you need to do it properly, and you need to do it perfectly, that eventually we might rebel against. Then once we've rebelled against it, and it's a bit of fun rebelling, because it's like, me and Matt have had times where we've had our tea, and because we've tried to have no takeaways for such a long time, and we've been really good, and then one night, as it builds up and we're starting to think, oh, I'm not so sure about this anymore, and the adaptive part starts going, oh, I want to rebel, I want a pizza, and we've been known to do that over a period of time, and then have our tea, and then at 10 o'clock at night, we've ordered a pizza. And we're not hungry, we're just being pigs, and we're just madly craving this pizza that we've told ourselves that we can't have for so long. So, it's not going to be the same for everybody, but certainly for me and for a lot of people I've spoken to who are wanting to eat when they're hungry, eat well, eat better, to take better care of themselves, often a lot of it, and emotional eating, is about how you're talking to yourself throughout the day and throughout the week, and what it is that you're saying to yourself. Are you dictating to yourself? Are you giving yourself a break? Are you allowing yourself some freedom? Are you allowing yourself, days where you just fancy something and you just have it, and then you carry on the next hour going back to adapting, rather than it being so black and white? So it's either I'm overeating and I'm eating everything in sight and I don't care what it is, and it's almost a little bit like self-destruct, or I'm so good and I'm not, eating anything outside of what I've promised myself because that's what I should do. So just think about this massive grey area in the middle where it's not so rigid one way or the other. Because again, that's something that's just much more consistent for you to be able to not get into a habit of, I suppose, overeating or eating more at times where actually you're just feeling a little bit emotionally rubbish, or you might be feeling a bit overwhelmed, or you might have a lot on, you feel really busy, or whatever it is that you find is your trigger to head for the biscuits, basically, or whatever your thing is, crisps, or I don't know, pizza, or whatever it is. Just start to think about, what is it that I'm saying to myself? Now, once you start to notice what you're saying to yourself, then you might be able to work out that there's some patterns. Actually, I end up throwing caution to the wind and not having my diet after I've tried to be really strict with myself for a few days. Jackie's saying, crisps. Chocolate for me. Could take or leave crisps any day of the week, but not chocolate. So yeah, just think about what it is that you're saying to yourself and how you're talking to yourself. And this just isn't just about food, actually. This is about anything. You are in your own head all the time. You are the only person in the world ever that is constantly carried around in your head. When you wake up in the morning, when you go to work, when you're in the bath, when you're on the toilet, when you're out running, or when you're driving the car, when you go to bed, even when we go to sleep, we are in our own heads. So if you think about that, if you're talking to yourself really negatively and being quite critical quite often of yourself and what you should do and how you should do it, and the expectations are not giving yourself a break, it's like you may as well have the worst person in the world who's really negative and who tells you off all the time and is very critical of you, just following you around all day, even when you're asleep. Because that is the reality of how you talk to yourself, is what you're carrying all day, every day. So, you know, we all put some restrictions in place in our lives. As I said earlier, it's important, even when we're growing up, we need to have boundaries, we need to have a certain level of restrictions, but try not to over-restrict yourself. And try and give yourself a bit of room for manoeuvre. Give yourself a break every now and then, so that you don't get to the point where you're like, I'm going to 100% rebel against this now, and I'm going to do it good and proper because I deserve it, because I've been so adaptive for so long and now I've had enough. Get more of an even balance between the two. So we've discussed in the first video, and we've looked at how you eat and about slowing things down and about actually knowing that you're eating, which might sound silly, but I think one of the examples I gave in there is I could sit in front of the TV and eat my dinner and then actually not even realise that I finished it because I'm just shoveling it in. I'm not actually in any way, shape or form mindful about what I'm eating. So it's about how you do it, where you do it, you know, are you sat in front of the TV, what is it, how is it that you're eating? Then to think about now, so from today's video, think about how it is that you're talking to yourself. What is the dialogue? What are the things that you're saying to yourself? So we're tackling there really the thinking and the thoughts. Okay, because although we're talking about emotional eating overall, you know, thinking and feeling come hand in hand. We don't just have one or just have the other. We might feel, we might find one easier than the other. Somebody might be much more of a thinker than they do with their feelings. They might find it easier to go to thinking the way out of situations rather than feeling a certain way about situations. However, you do both. So I could talk about emotions around eating and how that might work, and I will do that in the next video. But I think it's important beforehand to acknowledge that the way that we think and the way that we talk to ourselves also really impacts on that. Okay. So I can't see who's on there. I can see a few people in and out. So if anyone's got any questions, feel free to ask. And if you're watching this back, because it's now Thursday evening, if you're watching this back at another time, then still ask questions and we can answer them. And as I say, I'll do another video talking a little bit more about feelings and eating. But as I say, it is all connected. And I think in the video I did a while ago actually about self-esteem, I talked about 4 quadrants, 4 areas, which is by a psychotherapist called Richard Erskine, 4 domains of the self where, you know, they're all important for our self-esteem. And 2 of those out of the 4 are thinking and feeling, and they are connected. So, you know, again, in the same way for this, you know, don't just think, oh, well, when I'm feeling a certain way, I overeat. It won't just be how you're feeling. It'll be how you're thinking and what you're saying to yourself. So the 2 are linked. So for today, or for when you're watching this video, I want you to just notice the next time you want to go to the shop and get a load of chocolate, or the next time you find yourself what you feel is eating too much, and that's different for everybody, by the way, want you to just notice, what is it that I'm saying to myself? Or I need to have that because of this, or I'll have it now because then I won't tomorrow. So just notice whether it is that you're controlling yourself or you're trying to get yourself to adapt, or what it is that you're doing. So just be just be mindful and notice what you're saying to yourself. Okay, so if anyone has any questions, then give us a shout. I can't remember what Jackie's going to do a video live as well. She might do the next one, and then I'll do another eating one after that. But Jackie, if you're still there, what did we say you were going to do next? Can't remember, just remind me. Don't know whether she's still there. We talked about managing behaviour as one in children, and foster care was another one we talked about. Pass. What would you like to do, Jackie Jones? I think you should do one on behaviour. I think. Okay, we'll have a think. Let us know though if anyone's got anything that they do want us to do or want us to talk about, because we're open to any suggestions. And we're happy to answer any questions that you've got as well. And even if that's, again, just as an adult, it's not even about your children, that's also fine. Behaviour it is, she said. Yeah, I think behaviour, we get a lot of questions, you see, about behaviour. So I think, yeah, it'd be good to do one on behaviour. So if you've got any questions at all about behaviour in children, how to manage behaviour, give us a shout. Jackie is your woman. Jackie has a lot of experience with behaviour, having been a foster carer for a very, very long time, because she's very, very old now. She has loads of expertise in that area. I have some, not as much as Jackie, but I have worked within the Criminal Justice Service for a number of years prior to doing psychotherapy. So I've had a few challenging situations in my time, and I've come across a few challenging people, shall we say. So, you know, what we do when we do these videos, we kind of both pick topics that we're quite passionate about or that we feel we know a bit about, but we do always have a chat with each other so that you are, when we're doing these, you are getting, sorry, it seemed to go then, you are getting the experience from both of us. So again, if you watch videos and you think, oh, Jackie's got expertise in this area and I'd like to ask her that, or Sarah's got expertise in this area, just feel free to ask us. We'll always liaise with each other. I'm going to go now because my phone keeps cutting off because my sister's on holiday and she's trying to ring through. So I'm going to go and speak to her. So I hope you're all well, and I will speak to you very soon. Bye.